All right, friendo, Steve here. Welcome back. Today we're going to do something a little bit different because I have tested positive for influenza type B, which sucks. I just feel kind of under the weather. Nothing too bad. Not even a fever. I just got like the chills and some fatigue. It's really annoying. I just hate being sick because I got to quarantine in this office like I'm not here enough. And then I can't really do anything with my life. I can't play basketball. I can't go to the gym. I can't do whatever it is I want to do in this life, and I hate that. So anyways, I have nothing better to do right now, and I'm feeling a little perky. So I'm going to go ahead and answer every single question on the question thread. I'm not going to edit any of this video. I'm literally going to slice off the beginning part where I hit record up until I said, hey, friendos, and then the end, and then I'm going to export it and I'm going to upload it. And that's how it's going to go. So it's going to be a little bit different. I'm not going to do like the cut to the TV over there with the questions on it. But I am going to, and right now there's 100 questions on the thing. It's just these are not going to be super well thought. I'm not going to endeavor to go on for 5 minutes about a particular topic. So I'm just going to be kind of, to a degree, kind of a speed run because I want everybody this time to have their name read and their question read, regardless of what it says. I'm going to go ahead and read it. So let's go ahead and dive into it first. And this is, again, for the thumbnail aspect that everybody's talking about this right now. Kevin Orland brings up the John Cena pipe bomb that just happened tonight on Smackdown. He asks, was Cena's pipe bomb a top 10 promo ever? No, it was not. He did not mention Colt Cabana, nor did he mention AEW by name or Tony Khan. If he had done any of those things, which I was kind of expecting, given that I watched it after everybody else did, and everybody was saying, oh my God, this pipe bomb, you got to be seen to believe. And then I watched it and I was like, they didn't mention AEW, didn't mention Tony Khan. So no, it's not going to be a top 10. It was very good, and it might turn around perception on John Cena's heel turn, or at least be one of the things that gets us there. I thought it was very, very good. All-time top 10. I don't even know if it's a top 10 Cena promo. I think maybe we need some more historical context. But there's a whole compilation of Cena promos where he's just killing people on the mic. And maybe it would crack top 10 there. It would probably crack top 10 Cena promos of all time. But all time, altogether, no, it's hard to do that with an homage promo. But if he had mentioned AEW or Hangman Adam Page, or something like that, or Colt Cabana, I think then it would have been a top 10. But then it would have been like, oh shit. I thought he was going to go hard, or even reference to a more direct degree, the original, anti-Saudi Arabia show deal tweet. If he had to The Miz. If he had done that, then sure. Yeah. You should have mentioned The Miz too, for that matter. But I do like that he mentioned Nick Nemeth and Matt Cardona, and then there was another name in there too. Claudio Castagnoli. Yeah, I like that. I thought that was good. I thought it was really good. Top 10 is a lot, though. That's a lot. All right, let's head up to the top of this thing here. Weege says, it should be Cena versus Kurt Angle for his final match. All right, this is not actually a question, but I'll address it. This seems to be a statement. The thing is, if this was 10 years ago, maybe. Kurt Angle can't move the way he used to. He does not need to be in the ring anymore. I love him. I think Kurt Angle, from every account, and even several secondhand personal accounts that I've heard, a lovely human being, deserves to enjoy his retirement without the pressure of a John Cena retirement match. Maybe if you took time and space out of the equation, possibly, but no, I don't know who his final match is going to be. It's not going to be Cody. I don't know who it's going to be against, but it's going to be somebody that's going to need it. That's going to really use it in WWE, whoever that's going to be. Next up, Bad Robot says, do you think finishers should be more protected? I don't know. Maybe like 15% more protected. I like what they did with Okada. How Okada was like in New Japan, and it took like 3 or 4 Rainmakers to beat a guy, and then he comes to AEW and it just takes 1. So I guess logically speaking, I love when they do big pay-per-view matches where people just drop finishers left and right on each other. I like that, but see, maybe to a small degree. TBB, if watching wrestling wasn't your job, what are some points in which you would have completely stopped watching over the past decade? COVID, the PC era. It was horrible. That was truly atrocious. AEW did actually a pretty decent job with the pandemic, but WWE's was just unwatchable. And a lot of 2019 was too. So that probably would have been I wasn't watching back in the question has to be phrased from 2014 on, because I think I was watching from 2010, 2011 on. But for a couple years before that, I was kind of off and on, more off than on, I think. Cheese Man says, what's the best go-to snack? Will be Fritos. J. Bell Bell says, who would you like to have as the fourth man in Seth's faction? Jordan Grace. Damon Harden says, what will be the next promotion purchased by either AEW or WWE? You got to think that's going to be TNA, right? Like, that's probably going to be TNA. Dolly Bear says, Walt Clyde never stopped speaking facts. That's a Walt Frazier reference. Sadie Nicole says, do you really think Seth Rollins is a top guy like Cody, Roman, or Punk? No, and I think it's because he never went away. I feel like Cody went away, Roman completely changed his character, and CM Punk went away. I don't know if Punk stayed that entire time, if he would have remained as relevant as he remains today. That absence absolutely, completely, and then his, AEW run really kicked him up another notch. But it's hard when you're just there the entire time. He's more akin to Chris Jericho, to be honest with you, who just sort of like reinvents himself, but never in like a massively significant way. I'd like him to be a top guy. I think that a top guy needs to have a certain, intangible. And I think part of that is going away. Like Cody is basically new to the company. Roman as he is, and even Roman's starting to get, that's why he's barely around anymore. If he was there the entire time, he'd be getting stale right now because Roman ostensibly has been around since 2020, about 5 years. CM Punk has been around for just a couple of years. If you want to include AEW with that, he's been around for 4 years. Before that, there was such a massive gulf. So you got to be, Rollins has been around for 12 years straight now. I mean, obviously gone for injury here and there, but it's hard to remain a guy that has, or you need some mystique. You need some freshness, some new to you. And what they're doing with him now doesn't really feel like something that's all that new. It's a new cast of characters around him, but they haven't really explored why he did what he did and why he linked up with Heyman. He's talked about, I want to be about the future of the company, and it's obviously being a hypocrite. But it's not really much different than his Architect stuff back in the day. He's not significantly different. He needs to go away for 5 years. But he's not going to do that. That'd be silly. He'd be leaving a lot of money on the table. But yeah, I think he's sort of, in my view, he's kind of punished because he hasn't gone away. Let's see here. Next up, not editing any of this. DJ Luke D says, if reviewing wrestling wasn't your job, what period, what storyline would have made you quit? What the fuck? Are you the same person as this person up here? What? That is wild. That you two people had the exact same question. TBB and DJ Luke D. Are you guys the same? I don't know. Anyways, yeah, COVID era at WWE probably would have made me give that shit up. Let's see here. C. Sal Shorty says, I'd love to see you react over merch at least once a week. So much to look at. Yeah, I enjoy looking at merch. I don't know if a weekly deal would keep bringing in them eyeballs, though. I got to make it a special thing. I try to do it once a month, I think. So, but, I'll keep an eye on the merch. Hey, if more comes my way, then I'm like, oh, I can rip this to shreds. Maybe I'll do it. Atticus says, if you had the power to trade one WWE star for one AEW star, who would they be? Carmelo Hayes for Edge. GM Sanjeet Ramesh says, favorite theme songs in wrestling as of today, Asuka's and Aleister Black's. Kenny Johnson says, what would you say has been your favorite day of the week to watch wrestling, both currently all-time? Monday nights. Back in 97, 98, used to head over to Jeff's house or Nate's house, maybe sometimes Larson's house. We'd watch wrestling. We'd watch WCW first, then we'd watch Raw. Those are good days, man. Those were good days. I always loved that Monday slot. 54 Gaming says, what is the best Def Rebel theme song? That would be EO Skies. Pepsi Dude says, in 5 to 10 years, who do you think will be Triple H's version of break glass in case of emergency? For example, for Vince, it was Brock and Goldberg. I'm going to say that's going to be Seth. 10 years, I'd be shocked if Seth was wrestling full time, but maybe they'll bring him out for that. Maybe you throw a shit ton of money at Roman. Maybe it'll end up being Roman. Zondo says, Vince always got praise of he's a genius. Even Seth Rollins said he is. So my question is, what was the last thing Vince booked or created that was genius? Probably the build to Kofi Mania. Or, I mean, honestly, that year's WrestleMania build was pretty, like the Becky, Ronda, Charlotte stuff was a mess, but the go home segment was awesome. So yeah, that. Was he the one who booked Shane McMahon to come back against The Miz? That. Scrapetopolis says, favorite song by the Beatles members' solo efforts. All right. George, I don't know much about George's stuff past All Things Must Pass. There is not a bad track. The first 9, I actually researched this one a little bit. The first 9 tracks are all amazing songs. I was tearing up listening to some of these because they remind me of my dad also, because my dad was big into George Harrison. Yeah, All Things Must Pass. I guess the first album. It's a triple disc. It didn't need to be that. I'd say like 12. Really, that should have been a killer. Like the first 9 songs, and then probably like All Things Must Pass. Well, there's a couple more. And then 2 more. Like Let It Roll should be on there. Paul has too many to list. I am more of a Paul guy because I love a lot of Wings. I can pop on London Town and listen to the entire thing. Band on the Run, the entire album. I can listen to that entire thing. Mull of Kintyre is probably my favorite Paul solo song. Also, John Lennon's diss track on Paul McCartney. John Lennon's songs. How Do You Sleep at Night? Like the Beatles cutting diss tracks on each other. You had George Harrison doing Wah Wah. You had John doing How Do You Sleep at Night, and you had Paul doing what was it? Too Many People. They all cut diss tracks on each other, and John's was absolutely savage. Like the other two kind of like were diving into metaphor. He was just straight up talking shit. It's great. It's awesome. It's fantastic. So yeah, John John didn't have any. He didn't have any stinkers. But he also had much fewer albums than the rest of the guys. And then with Ringo, I guess what's that one? It didn't take Don't Come Easy. You don't have to shout or sing about you can. I mean, those lyrics don't even make sense. Shane Canavan says, "What's a wrestling theme you initially hated but grew to like?" For him, it's Ego. For me, it's Ego too. I love that song, Ego. Jason Sears says, "If you're a wrestler, what would your name and gimmick be?" It would probably be That Steve. It'd be That Steve. What would my gimmick be? I don't know, man. I'd just be like a I'd be like a 1992. I'd be a dude. You know who I'd be? I'd be like some dude kicking around. What is the name at Clerk? The Kevin Smith Quick Stop. Like the Clerks. I'd be in the Clerks movie. That'd be my gimmick. Just some dude in like New Jersey, but I'm not from New Jersey. It'd be some dude. That's what it'd be. And that shit gets over all the time. Be like the Sandman, but like less overtly violent. Flair versus Rain. Have you ever seen Mike Tyson treating a 21-year-old Hasbulla like he's a baby? I have seen that before. Grillamon says, what do you prefer? Highlight reel entrance videos or the animated screens with the wrestlers' names? The first one, of course. Highlight reel entrance videos. Although EO's current one is really good. Jay Hillfigure says, is anyone interested in this John Cena heel turn? I think a lot of people are. Let's see. C-Sal Shorty says, what's in the cup and why is it Diet Coke? This cup here? This has been Gatorade because of this goddamn flu of mine. Let's see here. Cold Brew CJ says, which wrestler has the best Trons in wrestling today? What do you think makes for a good Tron video? I'm going to say that goes to Io Sky. I think there's some in AEW that my brain can't think of right now, but I just want Asuka's got a decent new one too. But well, obviously Joe Hendry. Joseph says, if WWE did start licensing real music for entrance themes, what would you like to see? Get what song? Metallica, Sad But True, I've always maintained would make for a really good theme song. I think somebody used it in ECW, like Rey Mysterio or something like that. I don't know about all that, but I feel like it'd make for a good wrestling theme song. Also, anything by CKY. Anything by CKY. Femme Trapped, and that would be CK. Probably 96 Bitter Beings would be my theme song if that Steve was a real wrestler. Femme Trappist says, if you had to be in attendance for a weekly wrestling show for a whole year, which one would you pick? Oh, wow. Not giving up my Dynamite. Nah, I don't know. Yeah, Dynamite. Probably Dynamite. AEW's having a good year. Buck and Five with the year half over. What is your match? I don't know, dude. I don't know. I'm sure there's a Will Ospreay, Hangman, Swerve. Probably Ospreay versus Hangman, the one they just did for the finals of the thing. Probably that. DBC, where is Ilya? Injured. Mr. Sammy Sandman says, are you enjoying Jeff Jarrett's retirement year run? That's a bummer. They should have done something better for him. Fight Cards Nate says, what's your theory on Superfan Smiles? I don't know what that is. Should I look it up really quick? I said I'm not going to edit anything on this video. So I'll look it up and then ask me next week. Haunted Hemi says, how much wood could a woodchuck chuck if that woodchuck was named Brock Lesnar? Probably a lot. MB says, best cover of a song where the new artist changed its genre. I mean, that's going to be Jimi Hendrix All Along the Watchtower. He took it from a folk song into a rock song. Cinema Love says, would you rather see Cena versus Ray at Survivor Series in San Diego or Cena and his team versus somewhat of a Cena ghost of his past like Rusev, Cardona, Wade Barrett? Ray. I think that'd be cool. Shockwave says, what's it going to take for WWE to kick Def Rebel to the curb and actually invest in entrance themes again? If they think it's going to be more expensive, they're not. Pinterest Tattoo. What's your favorite Pearl Jam song that's not on 10? State of Love and Trust. But if you're asking for things that came after 10, it would be Animal. It'd be the combo of Animal and Go that opened up Versus. Money 13. Which Omega versus Okada match is your favorite? Their first one. Paige says, the more time TKO Triple H takes molding WWE into what it's moving towards, do you find yourself missing Vince in some capacity? With WWE ignoring Black History Month and Juneteenth, I feel that WWE will start alienating more of us out of their fan base. I hate to think that Vince was more in tune with PR situations like that more than Triple H is. Do I find myself missing Vince in some capacity? No. Do I wish WWE would sometimes take their heads out of their asses? Yeah. DeShadow says, what factions do you want to see fight in this year's Blood and Guts? Oh, I don't know. This year? When did the Young Bucks do Blood and Guts? Didn't they do Blood and Guts? Was that not this year? Was that last year? I don't know. The Ops? Osprey? The Outrunners? I don't know. I want them to build to it naturally, though. Javier says, is Mercedes Moné winning too many titles? No, and I don't understand why people have a problem with this. If CMLL wants her to win the title, she'll win the title. Like, I don't think that Tony came in and said, hey, we want to come in here and have Mercedes Moné win that title. I don't think that happened. I think they probably presented an opportunity, and they were like, can Mercedes be our champion? Yeah, let's do that. Everybody knows who she is. Hell yeah, let's do that. So, no, I don't think she's winning too many titles. Isaac says, what's more likely, WrestleMania going back to a one-day event or WrestleMania going to a three-day event? Three-day event. Casa Major says, do you think WWE will ever go back to over-the-top stages and more unique pyro for more superstars like they did back in the day in peak Ruthless Aggression and PG eras? I felt like that flavor is gone now. I think it's possible. SummerSlam this year will be an interesting litmus test for that. Sorry. If they start going to, if they build up a really massive SummerSlam set and the stadium show in San Diego Survivor Series, if they do a big special set for that, maybe they'll invest to try to make those stadium shows a bigger deal. I think that's possible. But like for minor pay-per-views, no, not a chance. They're not gonna do that. Skippy says, where do you think the wrestling landscape as a whole would be today if Vince McMahon's alleged exploits were never discovered? I think it'd probably have a lot of shitty, illogical booking and probably the same amount. I'm kind of curious how much pushback Vince would be able to have on the whole jamming advertisements down your ass thing. I'm curious if he would have had much pushback on that. I feel like he probably would have. But the storytelling would have been horrendous. People would have been bored with it. I think more people would be turning towards AEW. Orlando says, do you have a favorite WWE Studios movie? I don't know if I've ever seen one. I never even saw that Kane one. I think I saw one of the Rock ones. Ken Adams Business Firm, how you been doing lately? I'm sick and I hate it. Lord Blake Whitehouse says, now that Cedric's in TNA, what do you see a ceiling there versus what it could have been in AEW? I think he's still going to go to AEW. I think he'll do a run in TNA. I don't know. I wonder how long he's going to be there. I'm assuming it's going to be a take it as it goes thing. But, I don't know how long he's signing there. I haven't looked at my phone to see if there's info on his contract status there. His ceiling in TNA is higher than it was in AEW. Tony says, what story, injury, or incident made wrestling fans believe in the short term? Long term, bigger ceiling in AEW. Tony says, what story, injury, or incident made wrestling fans believe it's not real, we're getting worked? I don't know. The Vince blowing up in the car thing? Metal Daniel says, have you checked out Shiloh Hill's Shoeman videos? Do you think it's a work or a shoot? I think it's brilliant. I think it's fake. Diabetic Man says, I redeemed the Apple TV's free trial to watch Severance. Loving it so far, about halfway through season 2. Are there any other shows, movies you'd recommend watching on there? Silo's good. Silo's good. That's kind of it, though. I've heard people say they like Ted Lasso. I haven't checked it out. The Studio's good. I've only seen the first episode because it gave me anxiety, but it was really good. I've heard good things about Presumed Innocent, I think it is, and I want to check that one out. But that's kind of it. Severance is worth it, though. Severance is that good. X Blake says, will there ever be a time WWE and AEW will work together without purchasing each other? Give it a 30% chance. Peliqua says, what's a guilty pleasure for you, wrestling related and non-wrestling related? Guilty pleasure for me, non-wrestling related, is going to be, what's that game? Rocket League. Wrestling related is putting on old nitros in the background. Smokey says, why isn't WCW ever mentioned when people talk about the Attitude Era? 97 was hot almost solely because of them. Well, they are mentioned. They're not mentioned in the Attitude Era because the Attitude Era is a specific era of WWF. When they talk about WCW 97, they talk about the Monday Night Wars, or they'll talk about the NWO. And that is talked about a lot. But the Attitude Era is specifically WWF thing. That's why all the branding was Attitude. Nathan Fernstedt says, do you think AEW will ever be restored to its 2019 to 2021 glory days? In what manner? I feel like they're actually better now than they were then from like a consistency standpoint. In my own personal enjoyment standpoint, which is the only thing that kind of matters to me. Will they reach that same viewership level? I mean, that's 6 years ago. So like the viewing patterns and ways people consume are way different. WWF's viewing numbers aren't what they were back then either. So from a business standpoint, they're better off business-wise because they have a big fat TV deal now. Pay-per-view sales are really good. In terms of the quality of the product, I think it's good now. Ozempic says, how's your mental health? You doing okay? I'm actually doing really good, mentally speaking. I don't like this, but that's like that's first world shit. I don't like being locked up in my room, not being able to do shit that I want to do. That sucks. But in a macro sense, I'm doing great. I'm doing wonderful. Enigma Reed says, if you take any one big name from the 80s or earlier and have them work, WWE or AEW today, who would they be and who would you have them work with? One big name from the 80s or earlier, so that'd be Jake Roberts. Have them work WWE or AEW today, who would they be and who would they work with? So Jake Roberts from back then, bring him to today and have him work with with Hangman Adam Page. Oh, that's a good one. Jake Roberts and Hangman Adam Page. Rob Zerver says, which building have you always wanted to visit but perhaps have yet to? He says, I want to go to Arena Mexico because I'm susceptible to recency bias. I'll go with you. If you go to Arena Mexico, I'll go with you. Get Maggie. We'll all go together because that is on my list. I feel like Tokyo Dome would be fun, but I also feel like I wouldn't be able to get good tickets, so it'd probably just be a nightmare for me. I'll also say... I want to go back to Pro Wrestling Eve, which you could do, Rob. Alexander Ball says, will WWE ever completely distance themselves, possibly even erase Vince from company lore? No, and in fact, I think they're going to eventually start easing him in, especially after he... Drew Diesel says, since you cover wrestling up close, has it become harder to buy into the magic, or do you still find ways to stay invested? No, because, the performers are so damn good. They're so damn good, and they always continually get better. So... I don't love everything. Some weeks I find it harder to buy into certain things, like the 3-hour Smackdown, although tonight's was really good. NXT I still have a hard time getting into. I just find it kind of corny. Sometimes AEW matches are randomly thrown together and they're too long. But no, I think the performers are really terrific. Yeah, I'm still into it. Leon Cooper says, Steve, what was your reaction seeing Chase Owens and now called Don Fale join House of Torture along with Doki, who left the former faction known as 4 or 5 Guys? Brother, I don't know what they're doing over there in New Japan. Sounds awesome. Pepsi Gold says, if you and Larson ever decide to move on from wrestling, what joint and or separate ventures would you want to do? So I'll break this down into two things. Number one, if we ever decided to move on from wrestling, I would love to do like a channel that was basically like just sort of cool topic essays. And I see those a lot already, but I mentioned earlier, the Beatles diss tracks. That'd make for a killer video. So that kind of stuff, maybe movies, maybe diving into deep dives into movies, but there's a lot of that already. That would be like something that or honestly, Twitch streaming, because I really enjoy that. I just have no time to do it. So that kind of stuff, making little movies, stuff that I would never be able to make money off of, making comic books again. That'd be cool. Love to do that. Let's see here. Dr. Howie, how long until wrestlers have ads on their gear? I give it till 2030. SOTB Tampa, actually make it 2027. No effects are rancid. Landon Smith says, do you think WWE should have added Becky to Seth's group? No. BFYBN says, where would part-time Bryan Danielson fit in realistically? Feels like he's done everything in AEW wants to do. He's an attraction. Bring him in twice a year. Ozzy, what's your favorite Queens of Stone Age album? Be the one, oh boy. I mean, obviously, Songs for the, it's, I mean, I hate to say it, but it's Songs for the Deaf. Songs for the Deaf is their best album. But their first one and Rated R, I love both of those. I really do. Their first one after after Songs for the Deaf was, Lullabies to Paralyze. I love that album. I really do. I think their first four albums did not have a miss on it. Era Vulgaris, that's when I dropped out. I listened to that. I was like, Like Clockwork, But their first four albums, not a miss. Not a miss on them. Hill Harrison, could Larson beat Steve in a wrestling match? Probably. He's more fit than I am. The Great Dane says, should Goldberg retire with the World Heavyweight Championship? No, God, no. He shouldn't be fucking wrestling. He really shouldn't be. I know I did a video. This is the last video I did where I was like, oh yeah, I'm cool with Goldberg coming back. And then I thought about it. I'm like, God damn it. Fucking go away. Be Kind Rewind says, why has there never been an English world champion in a major promotion? I guess you can count Paige. I guess you mean like, at some point, Ospreay is going to get the AEW world title, but I think what you're really talking about is WWE. I don't know. I mean, Regal, I think, was supposed to be world champion at one point. Honked Off John, which WWE name change is considered good to you? Personally, I think LA Knight is top of the mountain. Yeah, it's a lot cooler than Eli Drake. It is a lot. I could see how that's top of the mountain. Another one considered good to me. Prince Devitt that's a really cool name. It should have kept that somehow. I got used to Aleister Black, but Tommy End is better. I do think Gunther's better than Walter. What was Kenta went to Hideo Katami. That wasn't good. Man, you might be right with LA Knight. Might be right with that one. Shining Rev says, well, I don't think Vince will get back into wrestling. If he were, what wrestlers do you think would work for them when, if available? Bobby Lashley, Brock Lesnar. I'll be honest, a lot of people. I think a lot of the roster would in WWE. Boogs. Joe says, between Mako Satomura, John Cena, Goldberg, and Jeff Jarrett sort of all seemingly retiring this year, why do you think so many wrestlers are ending their careers around the same time? Because they all started around the same time. AJ Otani, who's your favorite LGBTQ wrestler? Kenny Omega. The SGG8848 says, do you think WWE at any point will do a women's only weekly episodic show? I think Kenny has said he's bi. I heard somewhere you can't see the stuff he did with Kota Ibushi and not be like, I mean, they're called the Golden Lovers, so I think it's gonna be Kenny. So don't give me shit for that one. The SGG says, do you think WWE at any point will do a women's only weekly episodic show following on from Evolution 2? No, I don't. Undisputed King says, would y'all be mad if Amos joined Seth's new faction? No, I love Amos. Tyler Buensley, if WWE listens to fans, why does Def Rebel still have a job when fans in the live crowd are chanting Fire Def Rebel? Because they're cheap. Yo, science bitch says, do you think WWE is peaked? Like when? Like in 98? Probably. WJJW, the demigod, says, do you think AEW dropped the ball with AAA and TNA? No, they got what they needed out of them. They moved on. Not Ben says, if WCW had won and WWF went under somehow, do you think wrestling... You can't look at the Arena Mexico show and be like, do you think they should have stuck with the other guys? No. That show was killer. Not Ben, if WCW had won and WWF went under somehow, do you think wrestling in the States would have died or at least fallen off big time given their... I'm doing this. I'm sick and I'm doing this marathon session. If WCW had won, WWF went under, do you think wrestling in the States would have died or at least fallen off big time given their terrible management and poor decision making? Yeah, it'd probably be more niche. I don't know if WCW would have... If WWF would have died somehow, like if Vince went to the Slammer and they didn't last past 96, I don't think they wouldn't be where they are today. And WCW wouldn't have done it. Black Shadow, do you think Liv Morgan come back? Well, I don't know. There's no competition, so maybe WCW would have been able to drive wages down. Black Shadow, do you think Liv Morgan come back on December? Maybe the Rumble? I don't know. They say it's 6 months. Rumble. I think probably Rumble. Rumble sounds right. Watson, are you still sad at the 7 subscribers you lost? I think about it every day. Every day. And now I'm going to go and let my cat out, and I'm not going to edit it out. All right. Get up on the mic. Why is this Moxley storyline go away heat? It kind of seems like everybody's excited to see a babyface win the title. It's like when Roman had it during the era when he was feuding with Finn Balor and Finn slipped off the top turnbuckle and it broke and everybody was like, this is crap. Because now we're in the later period when people are like, oh, wow, this Hangman thing is pretty good. So, I mean, I don't know. Look, I'm not on social media all that much anymore. So I don't, if Mox wins it all in, they're going to have a problem. I think that's going to be like finger poke of doom for them if Mox wins. Hangman needs to win that shit. He really does. I have not thought that for anybody besides now with Hangman and Mox. I was like, Swerve's going to lose. I thought everybody's going to lose. I thought Darby's going to win that thing. But that's not happening. It's got to be Hangman. Darby will be part of the Hangman Vengers. Darby, Bryan, probably the Ops, and then Ospreay and, of course, Swerve will be the final Hangman Vengers. Page Vengers, whatever you want to call them. Anyways, look at that. 33 minutes. Good on me. I'm going to go lay down.